Okay, we'll get started. I just wanted to welcome everyone. We're Mainframers, and we have a new event that we've got called "Have I Got News for You?" It's a play on or a spin on something that's quite popular in the UK called "Have I Got News for You?" with a little s. But we thought it would be a fun way to introduce the subject of new to Z and some potential education, resources, some great insights from a great set of speakers. Without further ado, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Sam Catling. I've worked with the Mainframers team for about 6 years now, 7 years since the start. We actually began back in 2018. Was that? Yeah, 2018, I think. I'm actually a UX and visual designer at IBM. And I did go through the process of being new to Z. Sometimes I still feel like I'm new to Z because it's an enormous topic to work on. So this is something that's quite close to my heart. But we've got a great set of speakers today. We've got Marcus, who is going to be doing an introduction comparing a Porsche to a mainframe, which I'm excited to hear about. Marcus is from BMC Software, and he's also a veteran of the Mainframers group as well. So we're always very happy to have Marcus come and present. And then we've also got Ross Cruikshank from IBM as well. He's a Z developer advocate, and he's going to be talking a little bit about zXplore and what's new within zXplore. We potentially have Rakshita joining. She may not be able to join though, so if she can't make it, we're going to spend a little bit of time at the end just doing Q&A, so get your questions queued up ready so that we can have some questions to ask our panel here. We've also got Cable, who's going to be talking about training and upskilling mainframe professionals delivered by Emma. So he's going to talk about his background as well and talking a little bit more about Emma. And then we've got our very own Shari, who is a big advocate for IBM champions at IBM. So she'll be talking us through IBM champions, badges, and opportunities. But before we do that, I just wanted to introduce Mainframers. So some of you might be old hats with Mainframers, and apologies for going through this again, but we absolutely love introducing ourselves to new faces as well. So we actually started off a while ago in 2018, and it was a London-based event initially. But with the pandemic, we moved virtually, which actually was to great success, and we had a lot of fun doing it because it meant that we could broaden our message and our group to a wider audience and get a worldwide audience in comparison to what we had with just the London audience. So we've got a big group of us on the team. We've got some team members that have been there from day one, some team members that are able to drop in and help more often at certain times of the year. Some of us are newer faces as well, and we'd love to have more faces that join the team or more faces that join our community. And you can do that by joining our meetup group. The Mainframers Slack is also here, so feel free to join the Mainframers Slack if you're not already on there. And then we also have a LinkedIn group. I suspect you've either learned about it from a colleague or you found us on LinkedIn, so feel free to follow us on those areas as well. And if you're interested in getting involved, that could be as an organizer or even a speaker if you like, then feel free to message us directly. You can either message on one of the channels or message one of us via our Mainframers Slack. We'd love to hear from you. If you don't want to be an organizer, you could be a speaker. You could also be a recruiter if you're interested in trying to find new hires or anybody with any experience with Z. We also have channels on the Mainframers channel where you can give updates and request recruit some people. We've had success with this in the past as well, so it's great. We also every now and then have looked into doing face-to-face again. So if you're really interested in hosting a live event, we'd also love to hear from you, especially if you're based in a major city as well. So if you are interested in doing that, we always benefit from being able to have a space in which we can meet face to face and get to know each other. We have a lot of fun. There's often pizza as well. So we'd ideally be able to do that at some point once in a while, but also very happy to do online events. So I will pass over now to Marcus, who's going to be talking about comparing a Porsche to a mainframe.
Hi, excuse me. Can you hear me okay? Coughing up, and there's my presentation. Can you see that? Good, that works. Fine. So this is just the first few slides to a presentation that I give to universities or have given to universities in South Wales, where I live. And it's just an introduction into what the mainframe is. And here's it contains some interesting stats to do with the Porsche. So it starts off with what happens in 1 second. Uh, this stats is a little bit old because Skype doesn't exist anymore. But we used to have 6,000 tweets. In fact, Twitter doesn't exist anymore. 95,000 videos uploaded to YouTube every second. 100,000 Google searches every second. And 1.1 million IBM Z Systems transactions, 1.1 million mainframe transactions per second. So that gives you a bit of a picture of what the mainframe is and what it does and how fast it is. So what is the mainframe? Well, it's the backbone of the world's leading businesses. 23 of the top 25 US retailers have a mainframe. 92 of the top 100 worldwide banks operate on a mainframe. 23 out of 25 of the world's largest airlines operate on a mainframe. And 10 out of 10 of the world's largest insurers run a mainframe. So a brief history of what the mainframe is. It was first announced on April the 7th, 1964, as the System 360, 360 being 360 degrees, an all-round looking machine. And what was important about the mainframe was it was designed to meet customer concerns that you could run your programs on the same program on different machines. IBM invested 5 billion in 1964 to develop this family of computers. I shan't go into too much detail, but this is when it was first announced. The next upgrade was in 1970, and that was called the System 370. Quite a few years later, in 1994, IBM announced the S390, and this is where I came in my career, and that's what the mainframe looked like when I started work. The Z series with the new Z architecture was announced October the 3rd, 2000 with the Z900. And this is what the mainframe looked like when I finished working for my first job and moved over to be a database administrator. And then the more recent iteration of the mainframe, the Z16, was announced April the 5th, 2022. At a high level, a fully loaded 4-frame system can up to 12 drawers in a power distribution unit with 4 central processor drawers supporting 200 CPUs, that's 200 processors. It can address 40 terabytes of memory. Z in Z16 and Z system stands for zero downtime. The mainframe is built for performance, stability, availability, reliability, and throughput. You might have heard of the 8 nines. So the mainframe is available for 99.99999%. So that's 8 nines, which is basically 1 hour every 11,400 years. 1 hour of unexpected, uninterrupted downtime every 11,000 years. Yeah, that's pretty cool. This is where the comparison with the Porsche comes in, and these stats will blow your mind. The first mainframe, the S360, was announced in 1964. The first Porsche 911 was also announced in 1964. Can you see how they both have same matching colors? That's really cool, except the mainframe, the 360 doesn't have a go faster stripe. I think the first go faster stripe came in with the Z900. The Z16 was announced in 2022, and that was the machine that was running in 2024 when Porsche announced their 911 Carrera 4 GTS. Both nice looking models, I must admit. The design for the mainframe won awards for that, for those funky door panels. So let's compare the mainframe of 1964 with the mainframe of 2024. So the first mainframe had 34,000 instructions per second. Oops, let's go back. The 2024 mainframe had 300,000 instructions per second. The 1964 mainframe could address 8K of memory, and the 2024 mainframe can address 40 terabytes of memory. The clock speed of the first mainframe was 1 megahertz. The clock speed of the 2024 was 5.2 gigahertz, bearing in mind you can have 200 of these chips whirring away. Now let's have a look at the Porsche. The 1964 Porsche top speed was 130 miles an hour. 2024 Porsche was 192 miles an hour. The top speed went from 8.5, 0 to 60, sorry. The 0 to 60 went from 8.5 seconds to 3.1 seconds. The brake horsepower of the Porsche went from 130 to 473. That's a pretty powerful machine. But let's do a bit of maths and some conjecture, and let's show you how fast the Porsche 911 would be if it had caught up with the mainframe and increased at the same rate as the Z16. The top speed would be 10,000 miles an hour, 0 to 60 in 0.01 seconds, which is more G than a human can withstand. And the brake horsepower is immeasurable. It's in the order of magnitude of 10 to the 6. So it would be in the millions. So it would take 1 million horses to slow down one of these machines. And that's pretty... And that's it, really. That's pretty good stats. That's how fast the mainframe has developed in the last 60 years. So you might be wondering why we're so crazy about the mainframe. Well, this is why. It's just a cool platform. And at a risk of waxing lyrical and going on, I shall end my short presentation there and hand over.
Great, thank you, Marcus. I think I've recently discovered, I literally had no idea that the Z stood for zero downtime, and I work with a Z product, which is insane, in IBM. So you've definitely shown me that I there's a lot that I could learn. Also, absolutely love the color scheme, although I think the Porsche should have gone for the same Batmobile look as the transition to the Z900. So yeah, great presentation, and it looks like some really good comments about the stats there. I think there's a lot that Porsche could learn from. Okay, right, so up next we've got Ross from IBM, who's going to be talking a little bit about zXplore. Ross, you want to take it away?
Yes, I will. Thank you very much. Thanks, Sam. Great chat there, Marcus. Thank you. And I'm going to give you a little bit of an update on where zXplore is. Brief overview for those of you that have not heard of it, don't know what it's about, and then take you into what's been developed in the last year or so and where we're going to add new capabilities for new to Z, as well as Some of those folk who have been around for a while who would like to just pick up some new skills, things you didn't know about mainframes, basically. So let me do a quick share. And I'll flip around to here. So thing to let you know is I've been a systems engineer with lots of different titles off and on for the last nearly 40 years, off and on with IBM. I started as a systems engineer in hardware design in Hursley. My first job was with a mainframe. They didn't have PCs generally available yet, so everything we did was mainframe based. And so I've been a mainframer all my working life. The IBM zXplore system I joined 2-3 years ago as it was moving away from being what had been master the mainframe, which you may have come across, which was a competition that ran every year for the last 3 months of the year, gave people hands-on experience with a mainframe, gave you kind of basic skills. And decision was made about 3-4 years ago to convert that into an online, always-on system. So instead of it being renovated every year, we would just make it continuously grow. So it's intended to give people no charge, real access to a real mainframe with no VPNs and other baggage and remote desktops and stuff to get to it. It's direct access. And apart from, so having heard about the Z being for zero, that's for unscheduled downtime. We are part of an environment where we take regular outages so that we can keep up to date with all the product fixes and make it available to all of the zXplore platform, but also to our IBM ISVs and business partners so they can keep current. So we take an outage every couple of weekends to do some updates. Last one was for the time change in the States, and I'm sure there'll be another one coming up shortly. The whole idea of this platform was originally just for students, but what we decided was there were lots of people saying, "Why can't I join if I'm not a student? If I'm a working person, I'd like to learn about mainframes. Why can't I join your platform?" So it's been opened up now, and that means that you can use it to pick up new skills if you're new to mainframe, either because your university is offering that as a extra credit course. They may include actually part of it within their curriculum. So some of the some universities in the UK and in the US and Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands, and more and more in Scandinavia are offering that as part of their curriculum. So you get part of your course credits for doing work on the mainframe. And they're using zXplore as the kind of hands-on environment. It gives you the ability to upskill if you're already working with mainframes, but your environment that you work in doesn't give you free access to the USS environment, for example, or ZOSMF, or you want to learn how to play with kicks, but you can't get access to a kick system. We can give you that and give you a reasonably safe and open environment to try that. So you can use that for upskilling. And then if you're a return to the workforce kind of person, where you think, oh, there's not a lot of interest in mainframe again, having spent the last 30 years saying the mainframe's never going to die, even though people say it will, you can now feel justified in coming back in and saying, I can do this stuff and I can pick up some new skills and reskill. So clear focus here is on hands-on experience with lots of different aspects of the mainframe. Particularly focused on ZOS, but we go into others, which I'll talk about in a second. Progressive learning paths at the beginning. If you really don't know what you're doing, we take you through the user experience in a progressive way. The idea to show off how you're picking up these new skills as you pick up your Credly badges. So you can pick up a fundamentals and concepts badge, which just says you would know what to do. If someone sat you in front of a mainframe, you would at least know where the things were, how to interact with it, what some of the main concepts were for ZOS, like JCL, datasets, the USS environment, writing scripts, looking at jobs, those kinds of things. You can pick a Credly badge, and then we take you into other areas where you can broaden your skills. You can then collect an advanced badge after you've done a number of different areas, and then most recently we've introduced a lot of extended areas, but they go to what we call an all-star badge. So what we call a kind of journeyman approach, where you've tried all kinds of different things. So you know about a little bit about SMS, you know about security with RACF, or you know about MQ. So you can try all those. So 3 badges available currently on Credly. There are a couple of badges that we're doing right now in advance of the IBM Z Day Special Edition, which is coming up at the beginning of April, which hopefully, Sam, you might have something on at the end. The idea is you get direct access to the Z environment, so you're not having to wait for things to be provisioned for you. It's live. You just go in. We have a user community and a forum. The idea is if you've got questions about challenges, there's a good chance that someone else has already done those challenges and can give you guidance on how to resolve problems yourself. The idea here is not to give you the answer. The idea is to help you get to the answer and help you learn where to find information and how to get things get new skills out of the environment. Main areas to start with would be fundamentals and concepts if you don't know what to do. If you're coming in and you want to work in a particular discipline area, if you're coming from systems administration, systems operations, software development, those kinds of things, then you can come in through a different channel. But mainly we'd say if you don't know what you're doing, get started with the mainframe. Do it through VS Code. The 3270 terminal emulator can be a challenging way to get started. So we actually hold back on providing access to that for most people until they've had an idea of how the system works, how it looks in comparison to other platforms. So we use VS Code as a front end for the first major tranche of the challenges to try out. And then as we go into the advanced challenges, we open up things like TSO and ISPF, SDSF, get you doing COBOL programming, get you doing work with DB2, Node, COBOL, PL1, all those kinds of things. And then we've started now, because we're a continuously running platform, we reached the point where people have reached the end of the challenges and they want to do more. So we've been adding more challenges in more specific areas, more detailed areas. So we do things with SMS or data management. We look at MQ as MQ running on ZOS through the web console, from setting up queues and passing messages in and out of the system. We launched a ZVM hands-on environment as well last year, so you can get hands-on with CMS. And we're just in the process of finalizing being able to create and manage your own Linux machine as a guest within that environment as well. So you can have your own Linux Red Hat machine. We do some things with machine learning. We partner with the Linux One Community Cloud for our kind of Linux hands-on environment, and we do machine learning there. And most recently, we launched Kix. So you can have your own personal Kix region running within our large ZOS machine. And that means you have full rights to manage, apart from the little bumpers we put around everything to make sure you don't mess up everybody else on the machine. You can have your own personal Kix region to do with as you want. And we're in the process of doing something similar with IMS. So you can have your own personal IMS dependent region, and you can administer within the larger IMS installation. So, quick summary on that. I'm trying to move this console-y thing out of the middle. I'll just make that small. So currently focused on ZOS skills, but we're growing it. Linux is on the way for CMS. Personal IMS is on the way to add to Kix. We do lots of stuff for anything we can get that's open source, we'll add. So we do Golang, Python, Node.js. We have the ZOSMF, not spelled that way, but the ZOSMF desktop and workflows environment, so you can get some experience with working with the kind of new GUI interface to ZOS, hosted on ZOSMF. We are also the host platform for all of those COBOL programming courses from the Open Mainframe project, with COBOL with VS Code. All of those redirect to the zXplore platform. That's where the COBOL courses now run. So you get the benefit of, you can do the COBOL course, but you can also do all the other things as well, all the same environment. And we're right in the middle of setting up a chat assistance pilot with Watson X Assistant and Discovery, which will feed off all of the documents that relate to the challenges, so you can get help from the environment itself. And we'll do that from the membership management platform. So, overview really of what we've got. We run as a guest on Z16 mainframe. We run in what was called the Dallas System Center, but it's actually now in Poughkeepsie in New York. We have ZVM is our host, and within that we run our ZOS 3.1 system. We give people access to all of those things: TSO, SSH, DB2, ZOSMF, MQ, RACF, all those things. There's a connection set up to a relay service for MQ on another Red Hat system that we run on the same machine. So running Linux on System 390X architecture, and we'll see much more of that coming, and that's why we're doing it with VM as well, so we can do CMS and the Linux platform to give people the experience of building and operating a Linux machine under ZVM. Top level view, mostly we use the web interface to talk to the Influitive membership platform. That's where you get your challenges, which I'll show you in a second. You get the challenges, see how your progress is doing, use the forum. There's a cloud interface on the right hand side, which is where we manage things like validation to make sure when you say you've finished a challenge that we actually test to see whether you've done that. We're more about outcomes rather than method, so you can do things pretty much any way you like as long as you get things to look like what you've been asked to do. We're hoping that will help you grow and expand just the skills that you need and build the muscles you want to have, if you like. VS Code is our primary interface, but we also then offer TN3270 capability at the right stage later on. Or if you come in because you're, say, a reskiller and you want to just pick up new skills, we can give you access to 3270 access early. Everything else is kind of off the platform, so you can't fake the validation functions, and we manage pretty much everything else through that platform. So I'll give you a quick view of what it looks like. If I can get around to this guy. We've got homepage. You've got a little banner at the top where we'll show you the main areas of skill-based learning. So we've got fundamentals. The fundamentals gives you a map, shows you what the challenges are. These are progressive. You do the files one, then you can do the JCL one, then you can do the USS. And if you don't complete the first one, you get stuck. Right? So the idea is you're going to have to learn the skill to move on to the next level. And once you get into the advanced levels, then you can pick and choose what you want to do. Where's my navigation gone? We can look through here. You see what's currently active on the system, what's being promoted. So this is the hunt is on for new architects, and you'll see that's leading into the IBM Z Day coming up in April. We can always find your way to what's available for you, the various categories that are here. You will see different things depending on how far advanced you are in the system. But we can go into, say, the extended ones. and Extended will show you all the various challenges that are available for working with TSO and ISPF, working with Ansible and Docker on the Z environment, doing security with RACF, MQ, Kix, and the various challenges that are available. And as we build them out, we grow, change these maps, keep them up to date, so you can understand where you are in a particular journey from a skills perspective. But you can also come into it from the perspective of, say, a system administrator, and we attach the challenges that make sense for those disciplines in here, and then you'll see that there are some which are they're available as you're moving through the system. You'll see that there are some challenges which are dependent on earlier ones, so you'll see which challenges available, and then the ones that are gated by that, so they'll be grayed out, but you'll show up as you're working through the challenges. So I think we're running out of out of room to talk about it anymore, but in the presentation that was showing on every page, you should have seen the link at the bottom, IBM Biz, IBM zXplore. That will get you onto the system. All you need is an email address. It's not an IBM ID. It just gets you on the system. You sign up and off you go. You'll be assigned a Z user ID and given instructions on getting going. So if you've got any questions, fire away, and I hope you get to enjoy the platform. Enjoy the rest of the meetup.
Great. Thank you so much, Ross. And I've just popped the link into the chat for the zXplore, and I've also popped the link into the Z Day that Ross had mentioned. It's on the 8th of April, I believe. So yeah. You can also, I've noticed there's also an Eventbrite link as well. So if you just search for it, you can find all the information that you need. One thing that I've learned is I definitely should do the starter course on there, the fundamentals course. I think that will help a lot with some of the design work that I do. So I appreciate being able to see a little bit more about that. Thank you very much, Ross.
The only thing I'd say is if you're doing it from a corporate environment, so if you're doing this as an employee of someone who has mainframes, you may need to get close to your network administrators, because you're connecting directly to someone else's mainframe. Usually banks, insurance companies, they have some concerns about doing that, so you might have to open things up. But there are some of our closest customers have already made things available to be able to do that.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Ross. So I think next on the agenda was Rakshita. I don't believe she's been able to join. So what is good is we've got Cable next, who can talk through some of his stuff that he's got prepared for us to talk about Emma. Cable, did you want to take it away?
Yes. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. One to Mainframers organization. Thank you for having me. I'm kind of do a little different here. I'm going to kind of start at the end. I'm going to do like a Quentin Tarantino-esque. I'm going to give you the end of the presentation, and then we're going to travel back together, and we're going to kind of start at the beginning, and I'm going to fill in the gaps. But what Emma is, and the Eli Madison Memorial Apprenticeship Foundation is basically that. We're looking for bringing people to the mainframe, bringing it to this space and bringing them to early career starts. And so that's what our goal is and what we're truly trying to do. But I wanted to thank everybody for having me, because even though we're bringing people, and the topic today is new to Z, or news, right? What's news? But the new to Z, bringing people to Z is fascinating to me. So my background, I spent 20 some years in the military, and leaving the military into the civilian sector, this is one of the first things I stumbled into was IBM and apprenticeships and supporting that role. And I love this community, and I'll tell you why I love this community. We have the Andys. Andy Brislin has been with participating with Emma since its basically early start. And he introduced us to Andy McCandless, who is part of the Mainframers, who then invited us to be a part of this event. And it just fascinates me that across the globe, across the planet, there are people who are reaching out and providing an opportunity for people to come into this space. And that's why I'm really excited to be here. Things that I've done in the last few years, I want to talk to Marcus. Marcus, I am 3D printing my own 360. I have all of my components for my 360 that I'm printing for my background of my desk areas. And I'm going through the entire iteration of the background of IBM and all of the machines. I'm going to 3D print all of them as part of my capture here. And to Ross, who just spoke, it was amazing to hear where the zXplore has come from, where it was Master of the Mainframe to what it is. And I know that our learners in the last iterations of those couple years, they got to a point where they were excited to finish zXplore, but then they were like, I want more. And so it's exciting to hear that y'all are continuously adding new learning, new opportunities, new challenges out there to zXplore and continue to grow that platform. That is fantastic to hear. And so all of that being said, and why I kind of went into that path with Marcus and Ross and everybody else to the introduction to get us here, is what we do at Emma is exactly that. We want people to come to us, which they are. They're coming in droves to our front door. They're hitting our website. They're signing up for a pre-apprenticeship. Basically, we have the same types of resources that we've been speaking about today, but we've partnered it with a few other things. Dr. Cameron Say and Professor Decker. Dr. Say is out of Eastern Carolina University, and Professor Decker is out of Northern Illinois University. Those two have been in the IBM collegiate training space. They've been teaching at colleges for many years, many universities, teaching COBOL, teaching assembler, teaching the background foundation of the mainframe space. And when I partnered with them last year, the three of us came together and said, hey, let's put our resources together and let's combine that and bring people into this pipeline and put them out into the world as early career starts, or people who are looking for a transition, or people who are looking for getting into this space that don't necessarily know about mainframe. Well, it has been very, very purposeful on our end of what we're doing, but it's fascinating to see how many people are coming to us and why they want to get into space. They're interested in the different areas of where the mainframe hits. And to Marcus earlier with the different categories, insurance, I didn't know about the airlines having that many types of 23 of the 25 top airlines coming into this. It fascinated me, some of those stats today. And yes, I wrote them down. But I like the fact that mainframes are there. They're never going away. I think Emma Skovgaard is on the call today, and she's got Dinosaur IO out there, and she's just giving information away for people to not make mistakes or not go through some of the same challenges that she's gone through. And I love this community for that. And so that's where we really started in this building of Emma here, is we have two different concepts we want to do. We want to build a community, and we want to train them on the most recent and the most current technologies that we can. And because of the opportunities between Cameron Say and Jeffrey Decker, because we have those college backgrounds where they've been in a classroom and they know what that looks like for a learning environment, but we also have another aspect that we're doing. We have access to 2 live mainframes as well. So our learners are not just going through a Moodle program. They're not just going online to a Blackboard. They're not just going to go through an LMS and get training. They're going through it, but they're also getting that hands-on live experience. They could write it, fix it, break it, refix it, what they need to do, and get through our learning program and our pre-apprenticeship. And the only reason we're doing that as our pre-apprenticeship is we want them to be experienced when they come to new employers. Because the whole point of learning is then to apply that skill, apply that knowledge, and that's what we're trying to do. So our clients that we've aligned with understand that they're getting new hires, but they understand they're getting someone that has some touch, some live experience within this space. But that's just a pre-apprenticeship, and that's just for an interview cycle. The apprenticeship itself that we support is then when they come on board. And again, I know I'm probably speaking to the wrong audience here, because everywhere else on the planet, apprenticeships are somewhat of a norm. Here in the United States, it's always been a traditional trade space. It has opened up in the last 10 years, and we have apprenticeships for all sorts of things these days. And one of them being in the tech space, and one of them being in the mainframe space. And so our goal, our focus here at Emma is to do exactly that. We want to bring people, train them, prep them, interview prep, resume prep, whatever that looks like, and then have the skill sets that when they show up on day one, they are performing on day one, even as a new hire. And it wasn't a traditional pathway. It wasn't a traditional university of 4 years of experience. Now, I mentioned we have collegiate and university instructors. And yes, some of those members who are going through university are coming through our Emma program, but the door is open to anyone. And the men and women who are coming to our site, the men and women who are going and visiting us, who are coming to be a part of our community, are from every background. It's not just a traditional pathway. And so because of that, the people who get through our program, it's self-paced, it's on their own. They have support from the community. Ross had mentioned where the zXplore community has a chat community. We have our own Slack community. We're trying to build up. I think there's 260 people in there right now, and they help each other. Like Ross said, we don't give you the answer, but they're helping you figure out what those challenges are to help you get through that learning experience. We have weekly calls between our instructor staff that go over some of the learning themselves. We have guest speakers that come in all the time. And then we have a community call once a week where people just come as a community back into the Emma All Call, and we meet. We meet because we're trying to build, and Dr. Say is going to love this one. I hope I push this correctly. He wants to build an army of mainframers. An army of mainframers is in the text of what we're trying to say, the context of what we're trying to say is men and women who are coming to us that say, I want this skill, I want this experience, but I want to go tomorrow and put it to use. So why is there have been traditional pathways and traditional learning methodologies out there? And they're all great. I'm a lifelong learner. I'm all about learning. But if I could actually put that skill set and put it into use much quicker than a traditional pathway, that's what we're doing. And our clients are realizing that. And so when they're hiring our apprentices, yes, they can start on day one, but then we have a continuation learning program. We have a continuation where they're going to come on. And the biggest thing that I've seen in my 4 years previously with apprenticeships and 4 years previously with mainframe apprenticeships is the relationship we build. The relationship we build with the client, anywhere from the sponsor of the program internally, but the managers and mentors who are bringing in apprenticeships and apprentices, they're the ones who we want to partner with early in the start. I want to sit with those members and figure out what their needs are, figure out if they don't want COBOL and they want more assembler, great, we'll give them assembler. If they don't have CICS as part of their space that they're working in, great, we can refill it with whatever. But we cover a spectrum of learning, and then we want a bespoke program where we work with those managers or mentors to better fulfill their needs on their team with that learning continuation when they hire that apprentice. So our whole goal at Emma is basically twofold. We want career starts. We want to bring people into this space and set them off into the world of working in the mainframe space. And what that looks like is a whole nother story, because our last client came to us and said, well, you bring us a lot of developers, but what about testers? What about someone in securities? What about someone in, and they had all these other areas that of course are needed, but I didn't think of tech writers. I didn't think early on in an early career start, maybe that was somewhere they wanted to go. Well, now we're going to diversify our portfolio and open that up even further to develop younger, and I say younger, not age, but younger career starts into some of those other areas as well and bring them in. And so Emma itself is there to put people into roles, but we're going to do it as a community all the way from day one. We have a community here in our pre-apprenticeship. We have a community at the steps between us and our clients. We have a community with those managers, mentors, and the new hires, the new apprentices as they come on. And we want to go along for that entire journey. And so that is what we came up with last year as Dr. Say and Jeffrey Decker and myself put this together. We've got 8 or 10 people now on board working here at Emma. And we're doing everything behind the scenes to get everything going. And we've put our first apprentices and our first employers on deck and through the first cycle. And now we've got that, we're starting to build and go from there. How we do it is probably nothing new. I say this, and everybody on the call has probably had some sort of taste of this experience. But what we're focused on here at Emma is the relationship, the community, from the day they hit an Excel spreadsheet to the day they're on employment to the day they finish their apprenticeship and they've now continued in their career. That is our focus here, is what we do. And so I'm really proud to be a part of Emma. I'm really proud to be a part of the mainframe community. And I will tell you, I've been to all kinds of events, virtual events. I've been all kinds of, go to Share, go to Tech Exchange, go to all these different things. It is fascinating to me to see how much, how forthcoming this community is with information and relationships, because you just want to, there's a great, one of the gentlemen I got to work with for many years was Paul Newton at IBM. And Paul Newton, if anybody knows Paul Newton, Paul is just sitting in a room and he's just scanning the room. And if somebody wants to start a conversation with them about something mainframe, it just, you can see it pour out of him. And most of the men and women I meet in this space is exactly that way. They want to pour out of themselves with this mainframe space and what they're a part of and what they're contributing to and what they can maybe be a part of. And it's great to me to be a part of this. So I appreciate for Mainframers to have me here and have Emma here today and to be a part of this. I'll save questions for later as well. But yeah, this is a really cool space for me to be in. And I want to thank everybody for being here. So thank you, everybody.
Great. Thank you so much, Cable. The enthusiasm oozes off of you, so appreciate that. And I completely agree with the apprenticeships as well. For me, I really see it as the way to go when it comes to building up your career. Even doing later apprenticeships, I know a lot of people that have started doing apprenticeships in their like mid to late careers because they want to do a change, and I see so much value in doing that. So really great to hear about it. I believe Andy's popped in some links in the chat. And if anybody, there's been lots of conversation that's going on in the chat. So if anybody does have any questions, we'll hold it to the end and we'll get them to you, Cable, so that we can have a bit more of a chat about that. So thank you. All right, so our next speaker is Shari. Who's going to be talking a little bit about IBM champions and badges. Shari, do you want to take it away?
I did not want to follow Cable. I'm like getting ready to go sign out because I know I don't look at, but I'm new in the Z space. So I arrived about 3 years ago along with the Z16. Let me pull this up. I was excited to see a bunch of our advocates and champions on this call. Are you able to see this okay?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. What I always like to try and start with are kind of like, is this real basic about what is advocacy? And it's a word that we use a lot. And actually, I'd be really interested as I'm sort of talking through this with, understanding the words that make sense to the people that are watching this, right? I'll tell you what I think advocacy is and how we talk about it, but it's so many more things. I was on a call with Stephen Perva yesterday, and I'm like, advocacy is like, can be a stiff word. Like, what else is there? And we were kind of like building this list of, here's all these ways to say it. So definitely interested in what folks think. But advocacy is really about, in the way that we talk about it, it's really about those things that you are doing that are sharing knowledge, that are contributing to the overall community, that's giving back, right? Things that are not your day job, right? It's not what you're getting paid to do. As IBMers, we have an advocate program as well. So I always feel like it's kind of unfair because I feel like I can't claim anything as advocacy because I'm like, this is all kind of my job. But usually there's a few things. We start talking about like the value that being an advocate and providing that knowledge provides, and thinking about, the value to you as an individual and how it starts to build your reputation, build your eminence, and also put you in a position to meet and learn from other people. And we've definitely seen in the chat a lot when you're talking about like DynoFrame and Systems, the Enthusiast Discord, and even here at Mainframers, the value to others like is really easy to demonstrate because you're providing a clear and clean path for folks to be able to learn, to feel part of something and feel engaged, right? I remember when I joined the team after feeling like an expert in technology on the dark side. And, like I would walk in a room, I knew who everybody was. And I went to my first share and it was humbling because I didn't even recognize an IBMer. So, and, now definitely perfectly at home. Let's see, it's going to. When we start thinking about advocacy, there are different, like what we call acts of advocacy. So we've kind of segmented it into 6 buckets. I mean, you can break it up more, but, less is more to me. Thinking about, if you're mentoring, if you're coaching, if you're acting as a buddy, Those are things that you all do, that is advocates. So Cable was just, talking about Andy Brisland, and Andy's a new, I'm totally going to be calling people out because I can. Andy is one of our new IBM champions, and, a lot of what, his advocacy that we looked at, not that it was limited to one thing, but, we could see the engagement that he had with the apprentice program. We could see the way he was mentoring and nurturing others. We go into events, and this could be everything from you're speaking at an event, you're planning an event, you're hosting an event. So it could be, something like Niall's on. We've got like the Waves Spring conference coming up on April 8th. So it could be folks like that. It could be folks like, looking at the Mainframers group. This is a bit of advocacy to folks that are speaking at conferences or speaking on webinars, speaking at IBM Z Day. And beyond that, it's also a place where a lot of our IBM Z student ambassadors engage. They're creating clubs on campus, and they're really exciting everybody around them about it. Content creation is everything from blogs to translating content, being a guest on a podcast, creating a video, anything in between. And no matter where it is, right? Technical contributions, we've heard talk about open source. So if you're contributing to projects with Open Mainframe Project, that's technical contributions, right? We've got, many of our advocates participate and provide feedback, whether it's on IBM Z products or it's around initiatives that we're doing around New to Z. And that is all technical contributions. There are definitely folks also, when we look at like DynoFrame, they're, definitely submitting some more technical type learning on there. We had folks that participated in new certifications that exist now for IBM Z. So it's all there. Our group moderation. So this is, are you part of a user group? Whether it's Mainframers, whether it's Systems Enthusiast Discord, whether it's Mainframe Society or Waves or GSE UK, Share, or our local chapters, right? It's really about, it's always a lot of work to actually be part of these communities. And then one of the things, and I know this one is a little interesting, people are like, well, if you're a teacher, it's part of your job, but in Z, educators have a choice, and they have a choice what they're bringing in to their classroom. And so many of them bring in, really hands-on activities, and they're teaching around IBM Z and, Linux One and the associated technologies. So that's also ways in which you could contribute advocacy. And it could be things like even going in and speaking to a class, right? I know Marcus has, done that a lot. I know Niall was, because I stalk them. Niall, just recently was, up at a uni, and I know is going again next week. So we have a lot of that. And then we have a way in which, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, but there's, place where people are like, well, how do I get started? How do I know what to do? And we'll talk a little bit about the IBM Z Advocacy Hub. Why is this not? Okay, which takes us right in here. So one of the things when I came over here and was working on, kind of really engaging with the Champions program and engaging with our active advocates, so, folks that want to get on that journey, is you don't know what you don't know, and how do you get started, and where can you contribute, and how can you get involved? So we actually built an advocacy hub. And in the advocacy hub, you could go in and find opportunities. And these are not, they're not all like from IBM, right? So when there are call for papers that come out, like for iDoug or for Waves or for VM Workshop, we pop that on there. There are opportunities around mentoring. There could be, folks looking for people to go write. go write a blog or sign up to be a podcast guest, right? A lot of that exists on here. There's also this ability when you're in here of, I'm working on something, I'm creating something, and I want to try and find someone who can come speak to my group, or I could interview, or they could review something for me. And once you have created your own advocate profile, you have the ability to go in and find other advocates and folks you could reach out to. And it could be based off of where they've got technical expertise. But also could be, where they are in the world and any of the other tagging that exists that they want to share. And then it's also, how do you find resources to help you in your efforts, right? I got asked to go speak at a local university. They must have been super desperate because I hadn't learned how to spell Z yet. And I was able to kind of go in and it was like, you're trying to find this deck. And so it's like, we're trying to have like, here are all these things, right? You want to go speak about enterprise computing. Here's a deck. We keep it updated, regularly. I'm also leading all of our new to Z efforts for IBM ecosystem. So you want to build a local chapter, right? You want to create a local meetup group. This is how we're doing that, right? And providing all the resources about that. When we get into starting to get into the realm of IBM champions, people are often like, okay, like what's an IBM champion? And to me, they are the pinnacle of advocacy. So does it mean that in order to be an IBM champion, you have to have, 40 years of experience, or you have to have been on site when the first mainframe was being installed somewhere? No, absolutely not. And I'm super proud that, what I've kind of seen is this pathway that I've seen people follow, from kind of getting their feet wet around like getting engaged with the community, to going deeper into user groups where they're starting to find voices, getting started on advocacy, and then becoming a champion. For IBM Champion Program, there's over 1,470 champions. About 200 of them are, Z and Linux 1 champions. But we do treat it as like, kind of one giant program, and we try and limit the amount of fighting we do over individuals, because there is a lot of overlap that we have. And our champions are comprised of clients and partners, students and educators, early tenure professionals, and people that are fairly well seasoned. I know Emma is on. I mean, I think, very quickly as she came in, I'll use her as an example, not trying to embarrass her, but, she very quickly, when she came into her apprenticeship, made a name for herself, was really involved. And it was just part of who she was and what she wanted to get out and give back. And that, kind of put her on a path very quickly. I'll tell you the biggest, hurdle that people run into is really around like what's their job versus not their job. On the right side of this slide, you're going to see our advocacy badges. So we have badges that you can apply for and claim that recognize the way that you are advocating within the Z and Linux One community. These are stackable badges that you can earn every year. These are probably showing the 2024 badges because I didn't put the 2025 on here yet. But we do have them every year. In the advocacy hub where we talked about is also where you can go apply for your badges. While we don't have this as a requirement, there is an expectation that anyone that is going to become a champion will have earned their influencer badge, right? If you're going to say they're the pinnacle of advocacy, that should be, pretty easy. And then for those of you that are like, oh, my employer doesn't let me do X, Y, and Z, that's okay. That's why there are so many different types of advocacy, because you can do things that fall within what you're allowed to do by your employer. We've talked a little bit about our Champions program. This was actually at Tech Exchange last year. I call it the Smurf photo. We do have a lot of opportunities that come up for our champions. Because folks are champions, they're given different opportunities. Our champions are able to, request to go to Think. They're able to get VIP treatment at events. And they're able to really have a voice and influence some of our product development. And we do give them, line of sight early into, what's coming. So, poor Ray ended up not at an event with me, so he made it onto my slide. But some of the benefits, we talk about was the briefings. They actually are also getting discounted learning and additional certification opportunities, and of course, swag. Becoming a champion, IBM champions are selected once a year, and every year, even if you are accepted, you still have to earn it during that year to be renewed for the following year. And just if this is the path that you want to be on, start now. Start thinking about, how you want to get involved, what you want to do, the difference that you want to make. Report your advocacy throughout the year, claim your badges. Our nominations for 2026 will open in the fall. So keep your eyes open so that you can prepare for a strong nomination. I often get a question from folks. Probably the biggest question I get is less a question and more someone, calling me on the carpet with why they weren't named a champion, and which is okay. But it's normally because their nomination wasn't great, right? They may be doing all these things, but if they're not, earning those badges and reporting it, if they're not articulating that well, that's the biggest thing to look out for. And just everything about it is, what have you done this year, right? So even for me, nobody cares what I did last year or what I've done for the past, 15 years. But it's really about like, what have you done this year? And if you're ready to take action, check out the IBM Z Advocacy Hub. That's where you can find opportunities. You can create your advocacy profile, and I clearly pulled an old slide, but you can report your 2025 badges. The link is the same this year to earn your badges and get on that pathway. For many of our folks that are part of our ZOPD program, our ISVs, they have advocacy requirements, and, they can really meet that in a lot of different ways. So I welcome any questions that anybody has, or, I'm very accessible, and I don't mean to speak for, the champions, but if you see anyone that is referring to themselves as an IBM champion, I can guarantee they would more than welcome the opportunity to talk with and nurture you on your journey.
Thank you so much, Shari. That was a brilliant talk. I didn't actually know that much about IBM Champion, so I've learned quite a lot through that process. And if anything, Andy McAndless has mentioned that you do get a jacket that should keep you warm when you're setting up a booth in an empty hall. So if that doesn't win you over, then I don't know what will. Okay, so we've come to the end of our speakers. So thank you so much for spending the time sharing the information that you've provided and setting up the content. If anybody does have any questions, feel free to pop them in the channel. I thought, seeing as we've got a little bit of time, if all the speakers can hang on for a little bit, I thought I'd warm everybody up with a question around your experience being new to Z, and what was your best learning experience, or something that you learned at the start of your career or when you started in New to Z, that you want to tell us? Is there anything that you found was a really nice experience? Did you have a mentor that helped guide you through it? Did you find the process of finding a mentor, or maybe it was just a red book that was really, really helpful to make you feel confident to take that step from New to Z to maybe more experience in Z? Go on,
say
Ross.
something. When I started, as I mentioned, I started back in the 80s, where they were just introducing PCs. So the idea of would you work on a mainframe or not wasn't really a choice. You were on the mainframe, and you had to just do stuff. There was a guy in Hersley called Dave Brown who gave people the option of having a coding manual that came with the tools that we were using for design systems. And he said, this is where the code runs, and this is how dataset concatenation works. And if you want to try stuff out on your own, this is where you need to put your code. Here's the book. Go for it. And he would only give this out to people who had been annoying him by saying, why doesn't the tool do this? Why can't we do that? He would say, well, it can, but we're not going to do it for everybody. You do it yourself. But once you had demonstrated that you were reading the book and understanding, and you were getting stuck on things that were different from things that you could have found out on your own, he was more than happy to help. But you had to show initiative to say, I want to learn this and I want to know how to improve things. And he was fully behind it. And then most latterly, everybody mentions Paul Newton. Paul was Mr. Master of the mainframe, if there was such a thing. And about 4 years ago, it moved from being hosted entirely on the mainframe onto the membership management platform. Not the one that we have now, but there was an interim one as well. But I think we did it with, was it Major League Hacking, maybe? There was an interim platform, but then we moved to Master the Mainframe. That moved Master the Mainframe into what we call the Influitive Hub environment. And that's a very different setup. Everything is webhooks and message flows and integration with the cloud. And Paul has been hugely supportive in helping me get the things that need to happen on the mainframe and also on the cloud to talk to each other. And I think he was a little wary because I obviously don't know much about anything really, but enough to be dangerous. And he's been immensely supportive. If I'm willing to try something and I can say, look, I've tried all these options, I should know how to do this and I can't, Paul will jump in and say, all right, let's go, let's have a look at this. And he's been immense support in adopting some of the things that I brought from cloud-based environments and from Unix systems and so on, but also for saying this is an area that we have this because of how we run the system. You can't change that, but we can look at other ways to do it. So a great open mentorship generally is what you need to get going, and given the freedom to experiment and also be willing to experiment.
Yeah,
So, Sam, if I can, I want to piggyback right on top of what Ross just said. And Ross, it's actually about Paul. It's even funnier because, of course, it's about Paul. What I learned as an early new to Z kind of experience is I had an apprentice, and she came to us in 6 months into her apprenticeship, and she asked a question about a very specific topic for a very specific niche of a very specific spot that she was working in her employer. And I obviously didn't have the answer. And Paul was part of our program. So we, as a SME, I connected her to Paul, and Paul heard her out and said, well, I can help you, but I'd rather introduce you to the woman who created that exact thing and put her connected to her. And they had a one-on-one off the side to go and figure that out about that specialized area. And it wasn't the fact that Paul did it. It wasn't I go back to the apprentice early. You asked your question there, Sam, was what was something early in your career, that stood out? It was the ability to ask. Some people don't want to do that. And I will tell you, this community has the ability for people to be inquisitive and want to ask. And if you ask, I think it's going to be exponentially upon your return. Your ROI on that is going to be asking for what you get is going to be something you didn't expect. And so I was really impressed with her, our apprentice. I was really impressed with how Paul handled that. And the connections that make in this community is great, but you have to ask. And so that was a big thing for me early in Z was being able to ask for those connections, or just asking if you didn't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree with that. And having a community that is so open for you to ask as well is such a benefit. And Marcus, you had your hand up.
Yeah, basically what Cable said. Ask. I was early on in my career, and I was writing COBOL, and we didn't have a way of working out what databases were needed updating, or what COBOL programs needed updating when you change the database field. So I thought, I'll write one of my own. So I started to build one, but I needed to find out more about the database. So I asked the DBAs and the sysprogs, and they were like, "What are you doing?" So they basically said, "You come and work with us in the MVS sysprog team, where we can keep an eye on you." So yeah, just ask. Get yourself a mentor.
Love that. Like, make them concerned enough that they'll be like, actually, maybe you should just join us so that we can make sure that everything's okay.
Marcus, do you want to share anything about your experience as a mentor to others?
Oh yeah. As a mentor, if you're interested in being a mentor, then there's the IBM Z Student Ambassador ship that Shari talked about. Get yourself hooked up to them. They will find you a Z Student Ambassador that you could talk to. You can just share your experience, talk to them about, just be on hand. If they've got any questions, and encourage them to present, to come to conferences if they can. For example, the GSE UK, they provide free tickets for students, so you can come along and register for free. Yeah, it's a good opportunity, and it's good for you as well, for your own CBT. It's a continual CPD, continual professional development. Got there in the end.
And thanks for calling that out, because actually we do, we're like the matchmakers is what I call us sometimes. But we actually have where if you are looking to mentor somebody in the IBM Z Advocacy Hub, you can fill out a form and you can talk about what are those things, both the power skills like career advice and presenting, as well as technical skills that you would want to mentor around. And we ask, do you want to mentor a student or a new to Zed, or like, do you not care? Like, and we definitely try and match folks up, both looking at language, where people are, and what folks are looking for. And then obviously encourage our mentors. You can't mentor somebody about everything, especially, I don't want to say especially the students, because they are so excited about so many different things, and you can't be an expert in everything. And this way you're able to make those connections to other folks, as the team has talked about. But definitely take a look and sign up on that.
Great, thanks, Shari. I see that Andy's got his hand up. Andy, do you want to say hello, ask a question?
Just a quick question, Shari. Is it possible to get fast tracked to become an IBM champion?
Is it possible to get fast tracked?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning?
You've got the active advocacy there. Is it possible to get fast tracked? Is there, if you've done acts of advocacy in the past, but you've maybe not had them recorded? No.
No, so everything is about like this year. So, I mean, when you're nominating yourself or someone's nominating you to be a champion, you could talk about, what you've done, but if you're not doing it now, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I mean, the timing is the timing. Start early and position yourself well. There are definitely folks that came in our class of 2025 that decided very early last year that was the journey they wanted to be on. And they, made it a focus. They participated. They were involved. Like, I think Ezreal has a restraining order against me at this point, but it's like, you kind of find people that it's like, like I'll have something that comes up because like unfortunately I remember stuff, but it's think about what are you getting involved in, what are you really looking to do, and is it really beyond the scope of your job? Like one of the things that I will say is, at least in Zed, I would say that like 98% of my champions would be doing what they're doing anyway. There's probably very few of them that are doing it just because they get to be a champion. And I love that. I love that about the space, and I love that about the people here.
Thanks, Shari.
Thank you. Were there any other questions that were coming in the chat at all? No. I think
Actually, Emma added something, and I know she had to go, but she was really kind of talking about, just the ability to get a lot of really good advice from people in virtual user groups and on LinkedIn. And, it's really being able to have not just people that will just automatically agree with you, but like really having, I'm going to say, a learning conversation. And that to me is the great joy of there being so many different spaces that you can be part of, whether it's you're having a conversation in Mainframers or Systems Enthusiasts or the IBM community or, Waves, Mainframe site. Like there's a ton of them, and it's just finding what works best for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, having these communities have always been quite helpful to create connections and see loads of different opportunities. I think to kind of piggyback off of like things that I found really valuable when it comes to learning is, if you notice there's a poll on here, feel free to answer the poll.
I didn't realise it was going to pop up, sorry.
But one of the things that I found really helpful is getting involved with really rapid paced incubator projects, and hackathons as well have been really helpful with my learning, especially as a non-technical person. So I don't necessarily work down to the code, but working really closely with other developers, other engineers, and being able to get that rapid fire learning has been really helpful with my journey of learning Z. And I still consider myself new to Z, but I do feel like I've taken the step in the right direction, which is fantastic. Okay. So we're coming up to the end of the time. Were there any other questions that anybody wanted to ask while we've got our panelists here? I did have one for Cable. I was really interested by your top. What does it mean?
It's one of Stephen Purva's shirt. It's a Cody shirt for. So Stephen Purva has his own
clothing line.
shop. Thank you. His own clothing line. PJ Catalano has his own clothing line. So I'm doing two things. I'm buying all the modern stuff to support our local production, but I'm also on eBay buying a bunch of 70s and 80s vintage IBM stuff and mainframe stuff. I'm not paying $300 for a Super Mario IBM shirt from 1990. There's no way I'm doing that. But I am getting to diversify my portfolio to come on calls so that I have something appropriate to wear on calls that are Zed supported.
Nice. I like it. It looks great.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's become my go-to gifts. Like
right?
when I travel places, I bring usually I'm bringing, let's be honest, I'm normally bringing Mainframer Barbie and Mainframer Barbie swag with me.
Yep.
I'm open to any and all.
My zXplore shirts. I got a bunch of swag from IBM over my last 4 years. My I with the B with the M, the IBM shirts. I've got a couple of those, and so Sam, just collecting my T-shirts to make my presentation. Just what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, I love that. We have somebody in our team, Joe Winchester, that if you ever are in a call with him, he's got all of his conference T-shirts in the background. He's run out of space in his.
Yes.
All of his walls are covered with T-shirts. It's impressive, but then he's a great speaker, so you can understand why he has so many conference T-shirts.
Sure, very, very nice, very nice.
We've also got. Are you selling the 3D printed Z16s? Is that available? Do we know if that's available?
There is a free.
There's a free format file out there you can download.
Thank you. I couldn't think of what it was actually called, and I was gonna, kind of let my ignorance fly, but yeah.
You can turn it into a Raspberry Pi case is what you can use this for. If you want to turn it, you can have the pop outs and turn it into a Pi case.
I know. I have a pink one that
Yes, you do.
one of my champions in Italy made me. And it
Very-
travels with it. It
Very
travels
famous
with
one.
me.
It's a very famous one, Shari. It's everywhere you go.
It is. It is.
I'll just have to buy myself a 3D printer.
Yeah, we're just talking about how we're going to have to practice the 3D printer here.
They're
We've got-
addictive. Once you get started, they're addictive.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, awesome. All right. Okay. So we're coming to the end of the time. So thank you so much to our panelists and for speaking some really, really interesting talks, and also learning a little bit more about what's available for our education and what's available in apprenticeships, etc. So thank you very much for the time. I've learned more about Porsche than I ever thought I would learn. Before we finish, I wanted to pop up a link to the poll that the survey that we have to understand a little bit more about getting feedback around this session. We'd love to hear from all of you. And if you're interested in future Mainframers events, we pop up information on LinkedIn, on our meetup, and on Mainframers. So it'd be great to see you all again. And another thanks to our speakers. We really appreciate the time that you spent on this.
Yep. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.